No, I give myself space for that kind of innocence or interest.
Beautiful question. And it
Mm-hmm.
takes courage, right? Because that's what we're doing. In that dynamic, we're hitting the pause button for a second and we're saying, okay, this person is coming across to me in a way that is very, very triggering. What's that? That means it feels really unkind and mean, right? It can be really scary to feel like you're going to suspend your thought and your process of protecting yourself for a second to look at the possibility that maybe that's not what they're intending, right? Because there's a possibility it might be that exactly what they're intending, but there's just as much of a possibility. And interestingly enough, as we go along this path, we're going to realize how much of our miscommunication with people comes from innocence, where we just literally both are operating from a harmless lack of knowledge. We don't know what we don't know. And all of us as human beings, when we don't know what we don't know, and then we run into that awareness, we're like, oh, there's something here I don't know. We tend to, when we're under pressure, fill it in with our worst fears. And we all do it. So if we're all guilty, if one of us is guilty, we're all guilty, right? Or the beautiful and better possibility is that, hey, wait a second, whoa. Maybe it has nothing to do with guilt. Maybe none of us are guilty. Doesn't mean we're not responsible, right? But responsibility and fault are different things. Okay? And sometimes crummy stuff happens. Sometimes things happen that feel mean and unkind. And I'm really asking this question genuinely, and I want anybody to throw back their answer if it's opposite to this. But doesn't it feel like way better most of the time when something unkind or mean feels like it's happening, that you realize that the person who you're ascribing that responsibility to had no idea that they were coming across as unkind or mean? Doesn't that feel better?
Or if the reason that they did the thing that they were doing, which they, if we're talking about this idea of clandestine meetings, if the intention was not to be unkind or mean, if the intention was to address something in themselves rather than to be unkind or mean to you. Again, doesn't mean you have to be naive.
No, and it doesn't take away their responsibility for having participated in whatever that thing is. People who are coming from forcefulness and bullying and trying to discourage you are coming from their ego and trying to force their interest on you. But a person who's always coming from innocence, believe it or not, they stay centered in their ability and their technique, they use their tools, can stop a person like that way easier than you ever thought possible. Bullies, for example, make a point, and they may not use our language, they may not talk about it in this specific way, okay? But a bully's goal is to distance you from your innocence. Why? Because in order to experience your innocence, you have to be connected to your self-worth. You have to feel connected to your own value, right? When we're connected to our own value, we hold our standards up, right? We don't let people treat us in mean and unkind ways, intentionally and continually and unnecessarily, okay? But what happens too is we also can give people some room to make mistakes, right? And this is the beautiful thing that happens. When you can, from your own innocence, very responsibly, point out to someone that they are being mean or unkind to you in a way that you're feeling, okay? And to then see their reaction if they're coming from their innocence or their ignorance. If a person is genuinely, harmlessly having a lack of knowledge or awareness about how they're treating you and how it's affecting you in terms of feeling mean or unkind, when you point that out to them and they discover that, most of the time, most good people will be aghast, right? They'll be horrified. They'll be like, oh my God, jeez, oh my gosh, Cole, I didn't mean to do that to you. I'm so, whoa, go, okay. I'm going to stop everything I'm doing, right? If you learn to look for that and you see it consistently, it's a really clear sign of where a person's orientation is and what their intent was about. Because, as we talked about, we all make mistakes.